And in my experience working with so many very strong Kupuna throughout the years, I can name them, who came in the forefront to talk, to support, to encourage us to do something about the conditions that we were facing. I see people like Judy Napoleon from Molokai, who was one of the leaders in the Hui there, the Hui Alalo. And what they talking about? They were talking about having access to the very things that we always had access to all of our lives. That's to the beach. That's the place where you get food, where you go and fish. Yeah, but you have a big hotel in front of it. They'll be denying us. It's like, whoa, we need to go back to the road, to do what you need to do. That's what Onipa'a do. Yeah. I see in my mind people like one of my favorite Kupuna, Peggy Ha'o-Ross. Yeah. I remember I have this picture in my head of Auntie Peggy standing on the palace grounds, on the stairs of the Iolani Palace, with her ohana and her people, and declaring war against the United States of America. You know, and I'm thinking, can she do that? She did. She declared war. Why? Because she said, when we read the accounts of Lily Okalani, her book, her biography, she gives us a true picture of what happened. There was betrayal. Yeah? There was conspiracy. And there was an illegal takeover of a sovereign nation. And she goes into a lot of the details of what happened. Lily Okalani, yeah. So here, Auntie Peggy is saying, what happened? What happened to us? How come we can't see? Well, it's because we didn't learn this in school. Our school was American. We're supposed to be assimilated to be good Americans. All of that history, that is our history, wasn't taught to us. We had to discover it. People like Auntie Peggy Ha'o-Ross to me forced us to look to the past, to understand truly who we are as a people. Yeah. I also see very strong women like Hanani Trask, fierce, at the University of Manoa campus, taking on colonial history. She didn't mess around, you know. Other people like Auntie Emily Fries. Auntie Emily Fries, who was part of the Koho'olawe movement as a spiritual guide, as a person who gave support to very young people who were doing something extraordinary. And that is going on an island that was very dangerous, that in fact, when we went, they were still practicing, yeah? And going straight up against the military of the United States of America, and saying we want our island back. You know, and having nurturing to the whole idea of we have to aloha aina, we have to mala our aina. That's Onipa'a to me, you know. So in my past, and growing up in the struggles, to me it's people having the affirmation that we don't have to accept the devastation. We can actually make things turn around. We can bully things, yeah? And that all we have to do is have the confidence and the feeling that, you know, we are in charge and that we can move forward. So that's what Onipa'a means to me. Anybody else?
Anybody else? Jump right in.
Go for it.
Aloha. For me, you know, I've also been very blessed to see Terry right here, my comrade, my mentor, a leader, to show me what she has done and learn from her. I've also been very blessed to be mentored by other Native Hawaiian women who are very strong, which includes, of course, Nalani K. Trask and Lili Kalatuba Elehima and Mili Lani Trask, and you know, this group of women, for some reason, were very generous to me and took me under their wings. I have come to a point in my life now where I don't always agree agree with everything, but I'm at that point where I can respectfully disagree. And I think that for Onipa'a, for me, realizing that all of this, the very, very strong women, courageous women that I have known and watched them in action has just helped me to be not afraid of going forward and doing what is right. If it's right, you can't be afraid. The most powerful woman that I ever was tutored by and mentored was my mother. Nobody can touch her. Even all these wahinis I just listed, I mean, oh my goodness. So mahalo nui to my mom, because she taught me to seek justice and to stand up for what's right. For me, I can just see our queen there, frustrated, thinking she had this, a cohort of friends who turned out to be liars and thieves, and trying and having faith in the great nation of America to provide justice when they find out about these lowlifes, and then to live and not be able to see that justice and to continually be frustrated. I take that on as something that I need to try to finish for her, to find justice for our people. And I really do believe that Onipa'a means standing firm and not compromising and not saying, oh, we'll never get our nation back, so we might as well sign up to Na'i Oluwal, oh, we might as well be a Bill, oh, we might as well be all those things. Not compromising. We know what we deserve, legally, lawfully, spiritually, emotionally. We know what is due to us. I believe that's so strong. So Onipa'a to me says, I'm not compromising. Mahalo.
To build off of what Manu said, I think one of the things that, in addition to that not compromising, that Onipa'a to me, I love how Kalepoa explained it's active, it's movement, it's not just kind of like standing still, but it reminds me of the other word that we often use to translate as sovereignty, which is Ea, and that also means, living and breathing, and that political independence and the ability to govern ourselves is so essential to living that it's like breathing. We need it that much. In fact, our kupuna after 1893, who organized against the annexation, both the Hui Aloha Aina Kane and the Wahine, who will be reenacted for you here tonight, were actually successful in defeating a treaty of annexation in the U.S. Congress through their lobbying and through the efforts of putting the Ku'e petitions together. And in 1897, at this, I just want to read this one quote because I love it so much, that comes from a speech given at that time. Joseph Kauli'a said, "A'ole loa kako kalahui, e ai e ho'ohui ia ko kako aina me Amerika, ahiki I ke aloha aina hope loa." He said that we'll never agree to becoming part of having our Aina join with America until the very last Aloha Aina, until there's no one left, no Aloha Aina left. And I think that was really a mandate from our queen to Onipa'a and from all the thousands of people who signed the Ku'e petitions to not compromise. In his speech, he also talked about how agreeing to annexation would be like being buried alive, that we need that air, that ability to exercise who we are and to make decisions for ourselves so much that it'd be like being agreed to be buried alive. I think that's really profound for us to think about. There's so many, as a wahine, I feel like I've been born into the best lahui in the whole entire world because there's so many strong women to look to as models, and because our people are one that really have this concern for pono, for balancing the kane and wahine, that one isn't dominant over the other, but that we really are a people who value both the kane and wahine elements and see that that's essential to life. So when I think about women in politics, where I teach Native Hawaiian politics as a class I'm teaching right now, the book that we're starting off with reading is by a contemporary of Yuhi'u Kalani, Pi'ilani, and not Pi'ilani from Maui, but Pi'ilani from Kauai, who told the story of how she and her kane Kaluai Po'olau took their family to run from the provisional government forces, and not just run from them, but actively fight them off with in-armed struggle from being torn apart. And so many times when we think about Onipa'a or sovereignty, or we remember the leaders, the ali'i, the big people. But like this auntie was asking over here, most of us kind of think about our work, our family, how we're going to stay together. And this is why I love the story of Pi'ilani that she tells, is that that's what drove them to fight the provisional government forces, the desire to keep their ohana together, that they were so committed to loving each other, to keeping their marriage together, to keeping their family together, that they were willing to take up arms against the provisional government forces who were going to wrest them apart. If you don't know the story, I'm sure most of you know the story, but Kaluai Po'olau was diagnosed with Hansen's disease, leprosy, and so he was going to be taken away and removed to the Kalawao settlement on Molokai, and so they decided they weren't going to be, their family wasn't going to be torn apart, and so they went to the north coast of Hawaii to escape. And as Pi'ilani says, in the season of Makalapua, so I think that she means around the time of Lili'uokalani's birthday, in 1893, shortly after the overthrow, here they were, being hosted by the kama'aina of that place, and being shown where they could hide and whatnot, and then taking up armed struggle. I think that there are both the amazing ali'i that we have. The other thing I learned recently was that Lili'uokalani, in addition to all the amazing things she did, was the only ali'i to actually visit the settlement at Kalaupapa in Kalawao in 1881. So even though Kanaka had been taken there and taken away from their families since the 1860s, she was the first ali'i to actually go at a time when people were very afraid of what exposure and contact could have, when there were, people were fenced from the people who were basically jailing them there. So I think that shows her compassion, her love for us, for her people. There's some other women that I just wanted to mention and talk about because I think they're really important. Tonight, the play that you're going to see, there are two really important women among many, but Emma Nawahi, who was not only an organizer for the Hui Aloha Aina Wahine, but she was also a publisher and a writer, and she was, as someone who considers, that sort of my kuleana as being a writer and someone who tries to publish, I think that her courageousness in continuing to publish Ke Aloha Aina into the beginning, the first decade of the U.S. occupation was really important. And in addition, the president of the Hui Aloha Aina of women, Abigail Koi Heleni Campbell, her daughter, and I actually learned about her daughter, Kamukila Campbell, from the work of a son of Maui, Dean Sarnelio. And his work is really great in documenting what happened around the statehood era. But Kamukila Campbell, I learned, was actually a senator for Maui and Molokai in the 1940s. And so when they had this whole hearing about the potential for statehood in the 1940s, she was really the only and the fiercest voice against statehood at the time. And I'm going to read this one little short quote from her. So she actually demanded that she be given a whole entire day of testimony, just her. They usually give you 3 minutes and then you're like, okay, you're out. She demanded a whole entire day. The hearing was held at Iolani Palace, inside the palace. She came, as the women are going to be dressed tonight in black satin with red and yellow lei, and she spoke very fiercely for a couple of hours straight. And this is one of the things that she said. She said, "I do not feel we should forfeit the traditional rights and privileges of the native of our islands for a mere thimbleful of votes in Congress.